Hi guys, welcome to my channel. I'm Brit the Vet. I'm a registered veterinary surgeon practicing in the UK. You're probably here today because your vet has told you that your dog needs to have surgery and you're worried about putting your dog under a general anaesthetic at his ripe old age. So hopefully today I can help give you all the info you need to help with your decision. So what is general anaesthesia and what do the drugs do? So general anaesthesia is the process of making an animal unconscious using drugs in a way that we can control it. We can control the depth, so how close to being awake they are, and it doesn't hurt. So it's not the same as being asleep because they don't have the same stages of sleep, and they can't just be woken up by prodding them. They are just unconscious. So anaesthesia involves three things to be successful. 1. Pain relief. This is really important for pets undergoing surgery, less so for animals just having an x-ray or an ultrasound because imaging in most cases isn't a painful procedure. Now with old dogs, imaging might be slightly more uncomfortable if they have arthritis, because lying on a cold hard table would be quite uncomfortable on the joints. But we take this into account and old dogs tend to get a lot more extra padding. Number 2, narcosis. So this just means putting the animal in a sleep-like state so they are completely unaware of what's going on around them. And number 3, muscle relaxation. This is important so that dogs undergoing surgery don't just walk off halfway through the procedure. No one drug will cause all of these things, which is why we tend to use several different drugs but in smaller amounts, and this also reduces the risk of side effects as well. It's called balanced anaesthesia. Which specific drugs we use depends on so many different things. For example, what kind of pain we expect they'll experience with this kind of surgery, how long they're going to be under anaesthesia for, so how long the surgery will take, and other things such as the health of your pet, which I'll come on to later. It also depends on what drugs are available at your practice. I know that the drug combinations we use might be slightly different to the ones they use in America because of licensing, cost, availability, but there's such a wide range of anaesthetic drugs available in veterinary medicine that there's always a choice. Now, why do people say old dogs are more at risk? Firstly, when I'm talking about old dogs, I'm mainly talking about geriatric dogs. And a dog is considered geriatric when they have lived out 80% of their average expected lifespan. And I'll include a link down below to a table taken from a paper which lists lots of different expected lifespans for different breeds, if you're interested. Now, in general, for old dogs, the risk of anaesthesia is increased, but it's important to consider that your pet is an individual and will have individual health concerns, or none at all. He might be fit as a fiddle and looking like a 3-year-old. But I'm talking about, in general, dogs, once they are geriatric, have an increased risk. So why are old dogs more at risk? Well, let's put it this way, old bodies are just less efficient. So think of the kidneys. They are not as good at filtering the right stuff. Some of the good stuff leaves, some of the bad stuff stays in for longer, and they might not be as good at reabsorbing water as well. Then you move on to the liver. You can have fibrosis of the liver without having a health condition. It's just part of normal aging process, and the liver is involved in metabolizing anaesthetic drugs, so maybe it's just not as efficient at doing that. So the anaesthetic drugs take longer to metabolize and break down and leave the body, so the recovery of an old dog might be slower because of this. The third organ that can be wrong, the heart. You might not have a heart condition, but old hearts are generally less elastic and don't beat as efficiently as they used to when they were younger. And this means that, for example, anaesthetic drugs tend to decrease heart rate and decrease blood pressure. And usually with a decreased blood pressure, the heart will pump more to get that blood going. But in old dogs, it's just a little bit less efficient at that. So even though they don't have a health condition, it's just something to keep in the back of your mind. But also, on top of just being an old dog with less efficient organs, they are more likely to have actual health conditions, such as a heart condition, which can be affected and also affect how the anaesthetic drugs work in the body. So, should you subject your old dog to an anaesthetic? A big part of this decision will be your vet consult before the operation. And what they'll do is they'll do a full physical exam, most importantly checking the heart. And if they can hear a murmur, that might be suggestive that there is an underlying heart condition, and that might need to be looked into more before you go for whatever surgery it is you need. Unless it's an emergency, then things are a little bit more complicated. Your vet might also have suggested pre-op bloods. What this is for is to screen for things like liver disease and kidney disease, which we've said are less efficient when they're older and might have an actual condition. So even though this can't tell you for definite that these organs are fine and your dog's going to be fine, it's a really good, cheap and efficient way to check if these organs are doing okay. They may also recommend that your dog goes on fluids either during and or after the surgery. And this is because, as we've said, old dogs are worse at compensating for that drop in blood pressure that you see with most anaesthetic drugs. Fluids after the surgery can also help during recovery if your dog is a little bit slower at getting back to eating and drinking, because it can help stop your dog from getting dehydrated. So I get that at this point you're probably asking, but Brit, all I wanted to know is if I should be worried about an anaesthetic in an old dog. Well, hopefully I've explained a little bit more about what general anaesthesia is and why old dogs are more at risk. But hopefully, by checking for underlying health conditions beforehand and the right drug protocol in place, and by speaking to your vet and having the physical exam done, you are more prepared and have all the info you need to decide if this is a good idea for you or not. I really hope this has helped. I tried to make it as brief as possible, but if I've made it too brief, then just let me know and I'll redo it. Anesthesia is a topic I'm really passionate about. I love it so much. So if you have any other questions, I am dying to make more anesthesia videos. But yeah, let me know if you liked it. If you could also like and subscribe, that would make me very happy. And yeah, thanks for watching.